Morel and Suzuki, Wisdom, and Horner are coming in, and it looks good for them. What is the future looking like for Chicago with those guys are coming in, and not only PCA and Brendan Davis and Alcantara, but you have four guys right there that look like if you just put a little work to them, they could be really good too.
Yeah, what's super promising to me, Michael, about what the Cubs are right now, as you said, Nico's kind of a veteran, which is crazy because he was just drafted in 2018, and all of a sudden, he's a key component of the team. But that's what first round picks are supposed to be. And Jed Hoyer and Theo Epstein at the time, they hit a home run on that pick for sure with Nico Horner. But to me, what the Cubs minor league system is right now, it gives me more excitement, and maybe it's because I broadcast games at the minor league level within the organization because I see it every day. But, when the Cubs were doing this same type of deal back in 2014, and the guys like Schwarber and Bryant and Almora and others were on their way up, to me, this is more exciting because, sure, then you had the star power of KB and Schwarber and Almora and all those guys. But, when those guys were coming up, that was really it. There were not a lot of other guys in the system that you can point to and was like, you know what? This guy's going to be a solid big leaguer. Right now, you have the stars, like you just talked about with PCA and Brennan and Owen Casey and Jordan Wicks and others. But there's 10 or 11 or 15 other guys that you can point to in the minor league system right now, Michael, and you can be like, you know what? This guy's name is not Pete Crow Armstrong. This guy's name is not Brennan Davis. But this guy looks like he's going to be really good. So I think the Cubs have 15 or 20 of those types of guys that their name is not jumping off the page where like top 100 prospects, where you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to be in the big leagues. And that's what you didn't have back then. So you have that now, and you have all this depth that you can work with. And now you're parlaying that with bringing in a Dansby Swanson, with bringing in a Cody Bellinger, all the moves you made in the offseason, and all the guys that are already in the big leagues. The future of this team, like, it's salivating at times. You look at the blueprint, like, goodness gracious, you're going to pair the next generation of great Cubs with a pretty good core that's already in the big leagues. I mean, that is, to me, as a Cubs fan growing up, that's exciting. But also, again, as somebody that works in the game every day, like, it's just really, really cool to see that build. Because, when Jed Hoyer took over the job from Theo, Jed told everybody that it's going to take a little time, and it has, but it's right in front of our eyes now. Yeah. And it's here.
Yeah, and it's a rebuilding season. We know that. I don't think Vegas is picking us to win the World Series. If they are, I wouldn't bet on it. But it's a good rebuilding season, and you have a good thought, and you have a little bit of hope. And this season, what's a mark, or what's a record, or what's a successful season for the Cubs this year? What does it look like that you're satisfied at the end of the day?
I think this is a wild card team.
Really?
Because, I mean, look at the division. Cincinnati, their biggest move of the offseason was Will Myers. Pittsburgh is not competing. Milwaukee sold majorly in the offseason and towards the end of last season. St. Louis bolstered, of course, with Wilson Contreras, and you still have Goldschmidt and Arenado and a great pitching staff. But who's to tell me that the Cubs can't finish second place in the Central this year?
Yeah.
And second place in the Central, Michael, to me, that means a wild card team. So is it a failure if the Cubs don't win the wild card? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
As you said, to me, I always thought of 2023 as like the last year before things really get rolling, because I think 24 is going to be when the Cubs really get back to prominence and compete. I think they'll win the division in 24, personally. But this year, is, what's the floor, I guess, if we're having that conversation? To me, I think the floor is the wild card.
Yeah.
I love this team. I love how it was put together. I think the bullpen is super underrated. I don't think anybody's talking about the bullpen because of what Brandon Hughes is doing did last year. Jeremiah Estrada is going to be a rock star in that bullpen. You pair that with a couple of veterans that are coming in. Brad Boxberger is going to eat up some innings. I don't think anybody's talking about the pen and how good that's going to be. And then the starting rotation, you brought in Jamison Tyone. You pair that with Marcus Stroman. Hopefully Kyle Hendricks is healthy. Justin Steele is your number 4 starter. And then you have a competition where you're trying to find out if Hayden Wesneski can even be your number 5 starter. Hayden Wesneski down the stretch last year, Michael, was arguably the Cubs' best starting pitcher in September. Right? So, if Hayden Wesneski is your number 5, that means Javier Assad is not in the starting rotation. That means other guys are Caleb Killian is not in the starting rotation. So, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 legit starting pitchers for you. And this is supposed to be a rebuilding year. I love this team. I don't think anybody's talking about the depth, and they should be able to surprise some people.